Yeah, when disinformation and malinformation, do you think that there is violation sa batas natin?
Yeah.
That they can be charged in court?
Yes, sir.
Meron, ha?
Kasi willful and maliciously.
Okay. How about the other bloggers, for example? Can we have you answered on this, Mr. Chair?
Pwede pong ma-repeat yung question, Mr. Chair?
Nag-raise ka ako ng hand, di ako tinatawag.
Regarding po sa fake news?
Yeah, tungkol sa fake news and then the disinformation and malinformation.
Opo, definitely po cyber libel pwede pong yung pag disinformation, malinformation, kung ang purpose talaga ay mag-mislead ng tao para masira yung isang tao, yung isang kumpanya, definitely po pwede po yun sa cyber libel.
Now, kanina yung sagutan ni Congressman Marcoleta sa ni attorney tungkol sa Congressman Marcoleta said na medyo malicious ang scenario mo, no? Sa'yo, do you think that would be malinformation? Mr. Saan pangalan ito? Gamboa? Is that malinformation? To inflict harm on a person? Is that not
Yung kanina po,
malinformation?
yung kay Congressman Marcoleta.
Yes.
Wala na po ba siya? Wala na siya. Hindi kasi si Attorney Ricky, Mr. Chair, was stating his opinion. Tingin niya nilinlang daw ni Congressman Marcoleta yung mga yung mga certain group of people. So
it is not to inflict harm on a person. Is it? Yung binanggit niya na ano yung binanggit niya na nanlilin lang? At ano pa yung binanggit?
pakulo.
Pakulo lamang ito at panlilin lang. Naniniwala ba kayo na hindi ito malinformation where he used that to inflict harm on a person or inflict harm on a person's reputation or character?
I don't think may intention si Attorney Ricky na sirain yung pagkatao directly nitong si Congressman Marcoleta. I don't think meron siya personal na
indirectly meron siya.
Opo, pero he was reacting doon sa specific moment na yun na sinasabi niya kanina. So, yun po yung, hindi ko po alam kasi siya po yung nagsabi. Pero sa tingin ko po, wala naman siyang
Sige, let me ask, you're raising your hand, go ahead.
I'd also like to build po on what Ms. Ellen Tordesillas said earlier. Now, we fact-check statements of fact. No? So, if it is mentioned or if something is uttered as an opinion, I don't think the qualifications of the information disorder, the mis, dis, and mal, can be used to describe it. No, so it must be a statement of fact for it to be fact-checked. No, and also,
so what do you think of what attorney said on about Congressman Marcoleta? Do you think it's a malinformation?
Again, Mr. Chair, I think the qualifications of mal, dis, and misinformation cannot be used on an opinion.
Therefore, you would, as I understand now, that opinion, all right, and malinformation should be well defined, is it?
Yes, yes, Mr. Chair.
Well, Ms. Malu, will you please also answer that if you can?
Sir, yung sinabi ni Attorney Ricky, I would classify it as a value judgment. Pero mahirap value judgment.
value.
Value dahil sa kanya yun ang value set niya na nag-conclude siya na nanlilin lang. Pero uttered to a politician, nag-iiba yung kulay kasi pag sinabi mong ikaw ay nanlilin lang, it goes to trust. Kaya
You were saying, Ms. Malu, that we should react, Mr. Chair, no? We should react whenever there is a fake news that is blatantly being spread on us, okay? Now, Is that not being onion skinned?
No, sir. Kasi you just want to establish the facts. There are several tools where you can check whether there is an organic push or a push against you. There are several listening tools. I don't know if the good undersecretary. There are several listening tools. One of which is Meltwater, Ubermetrics, Brand25, keywords. The system will monitor, and if it is an authentic one, you will not see all dark ones. You will see several nodes going to several outlets. But if it is being pushed, there will be several dark nodes and everything is going back and forth. That is an operation online. And there are existing applications that any legislator can use just to see whether it is organic and whether it is authentic.
Attorney Ricky, would you want to react on that, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Honorable Congressman Abante. Ako po kasi, never po akong nagmumura, never po akong nambabastos. Sa 9,000 vlogs ko, videos ko, wala po akong minura, wala po akong binastos.
Ang tanong ko, Garet, nabanggit mo kanina, Atty. Ricky, na yung bang merong mga vlogger na bayaran.
Mayroon
Ang
po.
intention nila na sila ay magkalat ng fake news sapagat binayaran sila.
Mr. Chair, Honorable Congressman Benny Abante, sabi ko po kanina, yung mga vloggers na maraming views, maraming engagements, malaki na po ang monetization niyan sa social media. Hindi po sila naghihintay na ng bayad. Ang isa pa nga po pala to sa gusto kong i-share sa honorable members ng committee nito, ang kailangan parusahan yung nag-co-coordinate ng mga yan. Kasi mayroong mga taong nasa likod niyan.
Pero, Atty. Ricky, hindi natin nakikita yung hindi alam o nakikita yung nasa likod yan eh.
Yun na nga din
Oo,
po.
yun ang mahirap doon. Ang binabagit mo sa amin, Mr. Chair, yung imposibleng mangyari. Sapagkat hindi namin nakikita yung nasa likod yan eh. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, yung nakikita namin, ang bibigyan namin ng ano yan. Sabi ni Miss Malu, na dapat kami mag-react dyan. Anong reaction ang dapat gawin? Dapat ba namin i-complain yan sa CICC o magdemanda kami diretso para malaman nila ang ginagawa nila ay masama?
Mr. Chair, ako po, agree po ako sa sinabi ni Ma'am Malu Tikia. Kailangan po ninyong sagutin yung mga issues na inaano sa inyo, na nire-raise. Pero kung talaga namang malicious, talagang kasuhan nyo po, yung po yung, kasi yan po naman ang nasa batas natin. Kaya lang nga po, ang sinasabi ko kanina, based on jurisprudence, kaya lang pag kayo po yung nagkaso, magpuprove talaga kayo ng actual malice. Hindi tulad sa private, kasi presumed ka agad yung malice.
Hindi mahirap yung mag-prove, Mr. Chair, sapagkat may mga pictures eh. May mga pictures, may mga salita. Yun, ebidensya na yun eh. Ang problema lang yan, malaking pera gagamitin mo dyan.
Yes po, Mr.
That's it. At ang sabi ni Ms. Malu, hindi na kami kinakailangan gumamit pa ng, for example, or media reporter o a vlogger to attack, no? Ganun din ba ang paniwala mo dyan?
Yes po, Mr. Chair. In fact, ako po, kami dito na mga nanditong vloggers, kami ang nagtatanggol sa inyo sa Quadcom. Sa kasab dito nung binuotong Tricom.
Salamat po, salamat po.
Marami po kaming nakakalaban na mga vloggers. Actually nga, kung dumating lang sila dito, siguro nagkaharap-harap kami. Pero kami po, nasa pag-defend sa inyo. Kaya lang, dahil nga po, may mga times din na nagko-comment din kami sa inyo. Halimbawa, yung tungkol sa impeachment, sabi na, ba't ang tagal nito? Parang naduwag na yung ang gagaling nung ginawang investigation sana eh. Sabi, suportado ng tao, ang taas nga ng survey in support sa Quadcom. Sabi ko, ba't ngayon parang, parang hindi na desisyonado? So, honest opinion po yun. Yun po yung gusto naming ipakita na kami, yung vlogging na totoong expression ng opinion.
At maraming salamat sa inyong suporta, no? At sana suportahan niyo pa kami.
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Di ba? Sapagkat nagiging malinaw ang ginagawa ninyo laban dun sa mga talagang ang inaano ko lang ganito no? Ano ba bias di ba? Kaya sila nag-aano ng fake news because they're biased, di ba? Now, you look at yourself. Palagay nyo kaya hindi kayo biased sa inyong mga opinion?
Mr. Chair, talaga namang ang isang vlogger, mayroon talaga siyang bias. Ang masama lang, yung nagre-resort ka na nga sa fake news. Halimbawa nga, yung pulburon video na yan. Tapos yung mga ano sa inyo po, yung mga issue sa inyo. Obvious kasing fake news yun, hindi na lang yun opinion talaga. Kaya, pero yung pagiging bias, tulad namin, may mga stand kami sa issues, ano po yun tama lang yun sa isang vlogger na talaga namang may standpoint ka. Ang hindi lang tama, yun lang nakikita rin namin na maraming linalabas na mga informations na hindi na totoo. Hindi na po siya, hindi na yan pagiging bias lang. Talagang may malis na sa ginagawa na...
For example, may vlogger na kumuha ng picture ko sa Facebook ko na ako'y nakadila.
Mr. Chair, nakita ko po.
Nakadila, no? Diba? Kanina, nakadila ako. Totoong picture yan. Totoong picture yan. Talagang, kasi, inaakala ko, lahat na sa Facebook ko, kaibigan ko. Ano? At ako'y ordinaryong tao, hindi ako maarting tao. Ang ginagaya ko dyan, si Albert Einstein. Kasi gusto ko rin maging genius. Kinuha nila at ginamit nila yan. Yun ba'y masasabing fake news?
Yusek, siguro the best person to answer is the ICT.
Sige. Si ICT.
Mr. Chair,
kayo muna.
I-redefine ko lang po yung diniscuss din ng mga academicians natin kanina. Kasi this is actually an academic term. Misinformation, okay na yan, okay na po tayo. Both disinformation and malinformation imputes malice. Disinformation is mali talaga. Inedit yung muka, inedit yung narrative, wala talaga yon. Ibig sabihin, nag-imbento. Ang malinformation, sir, yung halimbawa ninyo. Kumuha siya ng totoo, pero binago niya yung context. Kaya tinawag na malformed. So, kumuha po siya, halimbawa po, nanghiram ka po ng paneray. Kunyari, pare, ganda ng paneray mo. Pahiram nga. Pagsuot, pinicture ang kata, sinabi, kita mo yan, corrupt yan, nakapaneray. Parang ganun po example. Tinanggal yung context para ma-mislead yung tao. So, that is an example of malinformation. So, it is fake.
So, having said that, no, kasi ako, tinawag ako ni ng Mr. Google ang narrative ko sa Mr. Google, nakarelate ako dyan Ayoko na sanang buksan to Pero during that time, ang premise ko doon, lahat naman tayo gumagamit ng mga search engine Ako gumagamit ako ng Brave Search. Saka yung DuckDuckGo. Kasi yung mga yan, hindi ka matatrace. Marami akong search engine na pinupunta, Wikipedia. Tapos meron pa yung Swiss Cows. Yung mga yan, hindi ako matatrace doon. Google, kaya ako lang siya ginawang example, popular siya. Popular siya Kaya in-example ko na kapag nag-search ako ng mga jurisprudence, talagang tinitingnan ko sa Google, lumalabas. Di ba? Pero ang content na sinabi ni attorney Attorney Topacio, ang sabi niya is hindi mo na kailangan pa mag-aral ng law pa. I-Google. Ha?
Topak? Attorney Topak?
I-Google mo na lang. Hindi ako nagsabi niya, ikaw yan I-Google mo na lang. Baka sasabihin, nagtatago na naman tayo sa, well, it's wrong. It's malinformation. Dahil nga, ang katotohanan, nag-Google ako. Sino bang hindi nag-Google? Sino bang hindi gumagamit ng mga search engine? Di ba? Masyado ka hipokrito pag sinabi mo hindi ka nag-Google. And then, ang connotation niya, ayan, si Mr. Google, kailangan, hindi pwede ka nang hindi mag-aral ng dahil nga mag-practice. Hindi ko sinasabi yon. Ang lawyer must undergo the tedious na pag-aaral and yung practice para maging, talaga, expert ka. Hindi ko sinasabing expert ako. Sinasabi ko, meron tayong mga bagay na pwede malaman sa mga search engine. So, ano yun? Malinformation?
Yes, sir. They use the truth
and then change its context. So it is malinformation. Pero mas madalas ginagamit po yung malinformation. When it was originally coined by a blogger in Canada named Hussein, ginamit niya yun originally sa revenge porn. Halimbawa,
Sa what?
revenge porn. Halimbawa, sir, galit ka sa isang tao, nag-release ka ng
Revenge.
nag-release ka ng pornographic material of that person to impute revenge. So sasabi mo ngayon, ay totoo naman yan eh. Pero actually yung context po mali kasi you're just using it to malign the person.
Yeah, yung context nga nila mali eh. Kaya yun na nga. Tapos yun ang nagiging ano sa atin. And merong pain, no? Nakasama sa malinformation. Causing pain. Alright. So medyo lumiliwanag po yung ating discussion, no? Si Mark, Mr. Michael.
Yeah,
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Michael.
You only have like 2 minutes, Congressman Labante.
Yung explain ko lang din po yung pagdating po sa bias. Ang nangyayari po kasi sa aming mga vloggers, kadalasan po, usually sa umpisa, pipili kami ng side eh. Ang nangyari po ito nung last year, nung nagsabay na rally yung mga Duterte tsaka si President Bongbong, yung pong unit team na mga magkakasamang vloggers dati, nahati, yung iba po sumama kay Pangulong Marcos, yung iba po naiwan kay Pangulong Duterte. So lahat po nung nandoon kay Duterte, yun po yung umaatake po ngayon. Kumaga, yun na po yung bias po nila, yun na din po. Tapos lahat naman po nung nandoon sa Marcos side, yun naman yung nagtatanggol sa Pangulo. So parang debate team po ang nangyayari. May debate team yung bawat side, tapos nagbabardagulan kami, loko-loko or kung ano man. Pero po, syempre, pag lumagpas na po sa linya at nagiging libelous na, pwede na pong magsampa ng kaso kasi nagiging
And then
libelous.
papasok ang government. And that's the reason why andito ang CICC, under the Republic Act 10175, you have to do your job. No? Meron na kayong subpoena power under sa CIDG and the NBI. So, do your thing, no? CICC.
So, Mr. Chair, naniniwala ka, Mark, na may mga vlogger na ginagawa yan dahil binabayaran sila, di ba?
Meron po. Meron po.
Marami
Meron
pa
pong
sila,
iba
oh.
dahil binabayaran. Meron pong iba dahil mas kumikita sila. Dahil pag nag-post sila ng DDS, mas maraming views. Meron po siguro talagang binabayaran. Iba-iba po eh.
Explain to us, no? Yung sinabi mo kanina, Attorney and Mark, explain to us. Dumadami ang views, nagkakaroon sila ng pera doon. Pakipaliwanag nga, hindi ko maintindihan yan eh. Paano nagkakaroon ng pera yung mga yan kung dumadami ang views?
Mr. Chair,
Di pera-pera din, whatever it might be. Bayaran ka man, o marami kang views, ha? Kumikita ka din dyan, pera-pera din yan, di ba?
yes po, Mr. Chair. Kaya lang ang sinasabi ko lang po, hindi yung mga vloggers, ang parang naging idea kasi bayaran. Yung mga malalaking vloggers na marami ng engagements, makikita mo po, halimbawa, mag-ano lang po ako, yung mga matatagal ng vloggers na established na sa isang vlog nila, mga 150,000 views na kaagad, 250,000 views. Pagkatining, ako po, halimbawa, ang vlog ko,
Paano nagkakapera yung mga yon? Paano?
sa vlog po kasi, mag-YouTube, mag-Facebook, linalagyan po ng ads, Mr. Chair, linalagyan po ng YouTube sa kanang ng Facebook ng ads yun, sa simula, sa gitna, sa dulo. Kapag maraming engagement sa'yo, gustong-gusto ng Facebook at ng YouTube lagyan ng ads yung ano mo.
Pero
May share
attorney,
po doon, may share.
putulin kita dyan, no? Kasi tama yun eh. Dati ganyan ang Instagram. Meron siyang views. Tinanggal nila yung sa views. Wala na ngayong hindi mo na makikita kung ilan ang viewers ng ng mga post doon. So if IG nakagawa nila yon, dapat I think magawa din ng ibang platform kasi yun na nagiging palagay ko yun nagiging root of all the problems eh. 'Di ba? May monetization sa mga content creator, but yung effect doon sa mga tao, tingin ko being a part of this government, mas yung priority namin yung effect nito sa mga tao. Yung monetization can be charged to other well, I think sa iba sigurong industry, but in here we're in itong pagtingin sa mga social platform, lahat na nakakakita kahit bata. So nagkakaroon ng manipulation doon sa views eh. Pag nakita nilang masyado ng madami, na engage sila doon sa content na yon. Sumingit lang ako, ano.
Mr. Chair, ganito. So, pag marami kang views, may mga ads na, doon kumikita.
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So, therefore, yun na ang nagiging profession ng mga vloggers. Am I right?
Yes po, Mr. Chair. Kaya halimbawa po yung sinasabi ko, yung nagrarally doon sa EDSA Shrine, na tinatawag, yung supporters ni VP Sara o ng Duterte, kikin silang nandun, araw-araw nandun. Pag nag-vlog sila, kaagad-agad, pag nag-vlog sila, 2,000 ang watching. 2,000. So malaki po ang monetization ng ganon. So kaya ang nangyayari, yung mga vloggers na yon, gusto nilang topic ang Duterte kasi maraming nag-aano sa kanila, nagsusupport. Kahit yung mga trolls,
But
sila
they're
yung
not necessarily DDS. Ganun ba yan?
DDS po.
DDS po, Mr. Chair.
DDS sila. So, ibig sabihin, sila ay talagang loyal sa mga Duterte. Hindi lang sapagkat dumadami ang views kapag kinampihan na ng Duterte. Ganun ba yan?
Yes po, Mr. Chair. Kumbaga, sa amin po mga vloggers, kapag Duterte, kapag Sara, yung Kibuloy, yung mga ganon, Bato, ang laki po ng views niyan. Kahit yung sinasabi nilang rally nila na dinagsa, na kikin silang katao, pero ang grabe ang pag-share po niyan. At saka, kaya, kumbaga, parang nagiging professional ng mga vloggers na yon. Kumikita sila dun eh.
Oh, Mr.
Ang tulong sa kanila ng Duterte supporters doon, active na pinapatronize ng Duterte supporters yung mga vloggers na doon.
Mr. Chair, ako po,
Wait. Aside sa pagiging active, yung organic yon, you said, pwede rin bot yon, yung mga views? Good.
Ayan, sir. Mr. Chair, I think this must be answered by the social media platforms, but as far as our dialogues in the past
Totoo
are
yun.
concerned,
Dami talaga silang
may different monetization schemes. Yung sinasabi po kanina is for YouTube. For TikTok, for example, if you are a content creator, kailangan sumali ka, but you have to garner 10,000 shares, I think, or likes within 30 days para maging eligible ka sa program, para mag-monetize ka. So, ang gagawin nila is lalagyan ka nila ng ads. And let's not talk about political bloggers. Let's talk about commercial bloggers. I think it is well known that a lot of these commercial bloggers have become celebrities. One, yung isa nga po, inabol ng BIR dahil sinabi niya sa isang vlog niya rin na kumikita siya on a daily basis ng millions. So this is not all news. Ang ano lang, sir, is dapat ilagay mo na verified account ka at ang account mo is content creator. For example, in my case, my page is nakasulat government official. So therefore, I cannot be eligible for that particular program. So yes, meron pong monetization scheme.
You have last two questions.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Chair, let me go back to Ms. Maluno. Nabanggit mo kanina na may epekto, for example, sa mga tumatakbo sa eleksyon, yung fake news ng mga vloggers, especially kung hindi sinasagot. Now, I'd like to find out sa anong level, for example, like, mas may epekto ba ito sa mga senior citizen o mas may epekto ito sa mga kabataan?
Mr. Chair,
Yung ba'y pinag-aralan nyo rin?
Congressman Abante, that is known as segmentation and targeting. You segment the populations, you are able to target which among them you would want to convert. But conversion is not online. Marami pong nagsasabi, pag marami akong followers, I will win. I would like to disavow that paniniwala because followers are not voters. So you may have 500,000 followers but actually 10,000 voters. So why will you invest on something na you are not directly talking to voters? So yun, sir, tanong mo, kailangan...
So katulad din yan ng sa pag-survey yung awareness.
Yes, sir.
Saka yung
Trust.
trust, okay?
So you segment. There is senior citizens. Senior citizens are hardcore voters. They will not change. The only one that changes are the new blood. Your 18 to 25, ang issue niyan kinabukasan. Yung 26 to 35, trabaho. Yung 36 to pataas, pabahay or health. So magkakaiba ang mga issues niyan. So pag sinegment mo yung population mo ng voters, sir, meron kang resulta ng election mo before. You segment that by barangay. You segment that by, may connectivity ba ako doon? Sino ang sasagutin ko using that data?
Okay, Ms. Malu, what if, for example, ito kalaban mo to, opponent, political opponent mo yan, no? What, for example, ginamit niya yung fake news na sinabi ng vlogger, ginamit niya at yun ang sinabi niya paninira sa candidate. Is he liable also, like the vlogger?
Mr. Chairman, that's why I kept saying, please respond to attacks immediately so that it does not become your narrative. Napakahirap pong habulin yaang kaguluhan sa online, lalo na eleksyon. So ako ho, ang suggestion ko, maaga pa, kinorekt nyo na so that hindi siya ang issue sa 45-day campaign period.
Sana may comment tayo to Mr. Chair. Pero anyway, si ICC, no, I'd like to ask si ICC, for example, like, ito, yung katanong ko kay Ms. Malu kanina, na yung opponent mo sa politiko, for example, ginamit yung fake news ng vlogger laban sa iyo. Is he liable?
Sharing is not liable under the current laws that we have.
He's not liable?
Not. Under the
Yung origin lang. For example, like, itong vlogger na ito nasabi ng masama sa kandidato, no? Tapos ginamit tong kalaban yung masamang yung sinabi. The same words.
Yes, sir.
So yung political appointment is not liable.
basta shared content, hindi siya illegal
Sir,
at this point.
Sir, if I may help, sir, as a general rule, sharing is not. That's why we compared yung batas natin sa POMA law of Singapore, where sharing, kapag katinag na siya as malinformation or disinformation, itag na siya, hindi mo siya pwedeng i-share without the proper context. Pwede mo i-share, pero lalagay mo yung response. That's the Singapore method. Pero sa atin, sir, pag shinare, kailangan po talagang hanapin yung original poster.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yun lang.
Okay, thank you so much, Congressman Labante. The next interpellator would be Congresswoman Jinky Luistro. You are now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yun pong sagot ng CICC to be specific, is quite alarming because it might encourage people to keep on sharing because it has no accountability. So I hope later we can cite the legal basis which support the statement that sharing a fake news or a malinformation does not carry with it a liability with respect to the sharer. That is very alarming, sir. To continue, Mr. Chair, I think everybody agrees that we all recognize the freedom of speech, the freedom of the press, the freedom of expression as one of the primordial constitutional guarantees. However, kagaya po ng sinabi ng ating esteemed colleagues, ang lahat ng batas, ang lahat ng karapatan ay hindi absolute. It has to be subjected to restriction. And as I was listening to our hearing today, since this morning, I can already conceive the magnitude of the danger, the problem that we are facing right now. As a matter of fact, Mr. Chair, talking about internet, talking about cyberspace, unlike ordinary crimes, Tito, it is difficult to define territoriality because cyberspace, internet is boundless. And that is the challenge, the biggest challenge that we are facing right now. As a matter of fact, I wish to share one perfect illustration. Nakakatawa po kasi dumaan din sa news feed ko in one of the social platforms. Through AI, biglang nag-kiss ang former president at ang former senator, Laila de Lima. And I hope some of you were able to view that also. Pag uwi ko po ng Batangas, at sabi nung magtataho, who's living in a very remote area, bati na pala si Duterte at si de Lima. So, that's how they influence people in the grassroots. And the question is, how do we correct the effect of wrong information? What if this wrong or fake information pertains to matters of national security? Ayaw nating mag-engage ng war, but because of fake news, somebody triggered and initiated some of us to engage in an activity which we have been really opposing and avoiding. Mr. Chair, amid all the challenges that everybody is presenting in today's hearing, I think everybody will agree that time is of the essence. Napapanahon na po for all of us to address the proliferation of fake news. It affects not only our personal interest, it could also affect national interest and even world's interest. With that, Mr. Chair, I have questions for DICT, and I wish I could get a very clear answer. Tayo po ba ay may jurisdiction sa social media platforms? By social media platforms, we are talking about Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. At least, ito po yung prominently used by Filipinos. May jurisdiction po ba ang Philippine courts over social media platform?
Sir, let me qualify my answer since this was directed to the ICT. With regard to regulation, we do not regulate social media platforms. We do not have any mandatory powers over them nor oversight powers over them. With regard to courts, Your Honor or Mr. Chair, I think that is better answered by the lawyers, the DOJ here.
Linawin po natin, sir, yung inyong naging response. When it comes to regulatory power of the ICT, walang jurisdiction ang DICT over social media platforms. And your basis is the charter of the ICT. Do you confirm this?
Sir, yes, Your Honor.
Now we go to NBI perhaps, or the DOJ if we have resource persons from DOJ. May jurisdiction po ba ang Philippine courts over the social media platforms?
Well, good afternoon, Your Honor. Philippine courts doesn't have any jurisdiction over social media platforms for the reason that these social media platforms operates under different jurisdiction. And we have the principle
By
of
different jurisdiction, ano pong ibig sabihin natin? Do you mean outside the Philippine territory?
Yes, Your Honor. The servers of these platforms are outside the Philippine territory, Your Honor.
Nonetheless, how do they operate within the country in as far as using the cyberspace is concerned?
Well, the operation is through the internet. So, internet is accessible to everyone.
And we have no way to regulate that.
I think the regulation should be better addressed by the DICT who has jurisdiction over matters of telecommunications.
As to regulation, the DICT, I believe, has answered already. Wala sa mandato nila ang regulation ng social media platforms. But I hope you realize, parang continuing yung crime eh. While it is being committed outside, the perpetration is happening even inside the Philippine territory. Yes, you really have to rely on your mandate on existing laws, pero meron po tayong principles sa batas, yung tinatawag nating continuing crime. And I would like to raise this legal question, whether posting malinformation, disinformation, fake news, notwithstanding the fact that the social platform is outside the Philippine territory, but the post can be seen inside our country, can this be not considered as a continuing crime? TOJ, please.
Ma'am, Your Honor, on the part of the law enforcement, we adhere to the duality or doctrine of duality of crimes. So under the duality of crimes, since most social media platforms are owned by other countries, we also need to consider whether the crimes that are punishable here in the Philippines are also punishable in other countries who own the social media platforms.
And can you explain that? How does it work, the duality of crime?
Jurisdictional, ma'am. That's jurisdictional, Your Honor.
All right, so how
if
do
it's
you
not
apply it in
punishable-
as far as our challenges here in the Philippines is concerned?
The country where the social media platform is located does not really react to our requests or does not really care about our request, because the law that is punishable here in the Philippines is not punishable under the jurisdiction. So basically, as a consequence, we cannot request information from those social media platforms as it is not congruent with our international law and law on data privacy, depending on the country where the social media platform
What
is
you are
based.
saying, sir, if I may interrupt, what you are saying is, if cybercrime is punishable here, cybercrime is not punishable in the place where the social media platform is located. Is that what you mean?
It depends on the kind of cybercrime, Your Honor. So, for instance,
Please expound.
cyber libel is punishable here in the Philippines, but it is not punishable in the US.
And where are these social media platforms located?
The biggest social media platform, such as Meta, is located in the US.
That at least we can have something to start on.
Yes, Your Honor.
Identify which countries have similar law which punishes similar crimes in the Philippines.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tama ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
And with your statement, does it mean na halimbawa ang cybercrime is punishable in a foreign country, cyber libel, punishable in a foreign country, punishable in the Philippines as well, even when the social media platform is in the foreign country, pwede ba natin din silang i-include dun sa case to be filed inside the country?
Yes, Your Honor, because there is already mutuality between the countries.
So in other words, we can acquire jurisdiction by way of duality of jurisdiction. Following your explanation, DOJ, kapag parehas ang batas ng Pilipinas at ng foreign country where the social media platform is located,
Yes,
we can acquire jurisdiction. Do you confirm that?
yes, Your Honor.
So, kindly state for the record, nasan po yung Facebook?
May I clarify, Your Honor?
Yes, DOJ.
Actually, I'm from the NBI, Your Honor. Actually, Your Honor, we do not acquire jurisdiction over the social media platform. We can only do requests. And the request we do is granted if the crime, which is the basis of the request, is also punishable in their jurisdiction.
Yes, that is the duality of jurisdiction.
Yes, Your Honor. But
What is your basis in saying that we cannot acquire jurisdiction over the social media platform, notwithstanding the fact that both countries have the same law punishing the same crime? Because I believe when we say duality of jurisdiction, it means that we can acquire jurisdiction as well.
Your Honor, good afternoon. I am the OIC Director for the Office of Cybercrime, Your Honor, an attached agency of the Department of Justice. Your Honor, as to the issue on jurisdiction, actually there is a way where we can acquire jurisdiction if there is a cyber warrant issued to a particular platform, but the limitation of that cyber warrant pertains only to computer data or informations that are stored in the or being held by these platforms to be produced or provided to us in relation to a particular case already filed in court, Your Honor.
Hindi ba, sir, lahat naman ng napopost talaga ay incorporated in the data which are being kept by the social media platform? So I wish to believe na lahat ng lumalabas sa social media platform ay part and parcel ng data ng social media platform which is foreign-based. Tama po ba yun?
Yes, Your Honor. I agree with your statement, Your Honor. But there are also some instances like dito po yung pumapasok yung retention, Your Honor, where kunyari sa Pilipinas po sa atin, if we have a particular, if our law requires a particular number of months or years for that platform to retain all those informations,
we are now qualifying our answer now. CICC, right? No? Let's go to the basic question. Kaya po ba nating mag-acquire ng jurisdiction over the social media platform? Please do not qualify your answer first. Tun muna po tayo sa general rule. Kaya po ba o hindi? Because you were mentioning already about the cyber warrant, cybercrime warrant.
Your Honor, that's a very difficult question. Kasi crimes are jurisdiction. The definition of whether an act is a crime or not is jurisdictional.
I understand.
So, without qualifying,
Pero
maybe we
kanina,
can write a position paper on this.
kanina you were discussing already about the duality of jurisdiction doctrine, and I humbly submit that with that doctrine, I think there's a possibility for us to acquire jurisdiction over social media platform.
Your Honor, may I also, in addition to what was stated by Yusek Jeffrey, there is also a matter, Your Honor, or a question if the social media platform actively participated in a perpetration of a crime. So, kung actively participatory po siya,
If I may interrupt, sir, cybercrime law, to distinguish it from the crimes defined under the revised penal code, is considered as a special law. Do you agree? O, di ba? That's where the distinction lies between mala inse and mala prohibita. And when we speak about mala prohibita, what does it say? We do not care about malice. The only question is whether the crime is committed or otherwise. Tama po ba yun?
yes, Your Honor, we totally agree with that, Your Honor.
Yes, but you were discussing about knowledge, about participation in the perpetration of the cyber libel or cybercrime. Parang medyo contradictory po yun doon sa konteksto ng mala prohibita or malum prohibitum. I understand that the question is difficult, but at least we were able to discuss initially the duality of jurisdiction doctrine, which I hope you will be able to render a legal position paper. And in relation to that duality jurisdiction doctrine, I remember that my question started with the concept of continuing crime. Can you please shed light? Hindi po ba ito pwede i-consider na continuing crime?
As long as the malicious post is still active,
Yes.
Your Honor.
So you agree?
Yes, Your Honor, we agree.
So
That
if
it's still
this can
continuing
be
crime.
considered as a continuing crime, The one who posts here is liable, and the server who makes possible the posting while it is based in foreign country can also be held liable. The question is difficult again. And of course, I appreciate that the Honorable Roman already requested to invite a constitutionalist to help us understand how we go about this. I just wish to submit that this cybercrime law was drafted, passed, and approved with the knowledge in mind that cyberspace is boundless, internet is boundless, and perpetrators are not confined only in the Philippine territory, but even outside. So I wish to believe that the drafters of this law considered the possibility of indicting as well the perpetrators who are based in the foreign country. That is a manifestation, Mr. Chair. And to proceed, Mr. Chair, I wish to state for the record before I proceed that this representation is requesting the DOJ to render a legal position with respect to the two issues raised already, the duality of jurisdiction doctrine and the concept of continuing crime. And for my last question, sa atin pong pag-aaral ng batas, mayroon po tayong tinatawag na warrantless arrest. Konting review lang po. Ano po ba yung mga instances when arrest without warrant is allowed? TOJ?
Yes, Your Honor. In the rules of court, Your Honor, the instances that warrants a warrantless arrest, Your Honor, is if a particular crime is being committed and the police officer has actual knowledge of the perpetration of the crime, Your Honor, the law enforcement can actually conduct the arrest of the subject without the necessity of a warrant, Your Honor.
TOJ, you will agree with me, we call it the doctrine of flagrante delicto.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. If a person is caught while committing a crime, he can be arrested even by a private citizen without need of a warrant.
Yes, Your Honor. As a citizen arrest, Your Honor.
Okay. Mayroon pong fake information, nakapost yung isang blogger. Can it be considered as flagrante delicto? Yes or no?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. For as long as the fake news is still posted. The one who posted it is in flagrante delicto. So the question now to the law enforcement, can we effect an immediate arrest, considering that the one who posted is caught in flagrante delicto?
Yes, Your Honor, as long as the attribution could be established.
Mr. Chair, ang dami po ng vloggers na can be considered caught in flagrante delicto, and I find it strange. Walang inaaresto ang ating law enforcement agency. I do not subscribe to the opinion that our laws are insufficient. I wish to submit that the drafters of these laws considered already indicting even people outside the Philippine territory, considering that we're talking about cyberspace, considering that we're talking about internet, which horizon and territory is boundless. And going back to the doctrine of flagrante delicto, the biggest question is, ang dami pong bloggers without any concern at all about the possible consequences, about accountability, about liability. They just keep on posting fake news, proliferating fake news. And this is a clear illustration of caught in flagrante delicto which warrants warrantless arrest. Bakit po walang ginagawa ang ating law enforcement agency?
Okay. Who will reply? NBI.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So for that question, Mr. Chair, as already discussed a while ago, ang meron lang po tayo ngayon is cyber libel na batas. And Article 154 of the Revised Penal Code, if I may read, Mr. Chair. So, doon po sa Article 154, meron po tayong unlawful use of means of publication and unlawful utterances. Number 1 po doon, any person who by means of printing, lithography, or any other means of publication shall publish or cause to be published as news any false news which may endanger the public or cause damage to the interest of the credit of the state. Yun lang po ang dalawang batas na pwede natin gamitin if we conduct a law enforcement operation or file of case. But the problem is, this case is a personal crime. Kailangan po may private complainant po na magrereklamo and it will be the basis for the arrest.
Sir, I wish to go back to the concept of flagrante delicto. Doon po ba sa flagrante delicto, naghihintay ho ba ang police ng complainant? I don't think so. For as long as the person is committing a crime, even private citizen can arrest without need of a warrant. Mr. Chair, I believe that the questions is quite legally debatable already. So I would appreciate listening on the next hearing to our invited constitutionalist. I conclude, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Luistro.